Sweet revenge. If someone had told me that Todd was cheating on me, I would have laughed right in their face. Todd was an honest man who had been nothing but kind to me. He did not always tell me what was going on, but I knew that he was going through a lot. The way that Todd and I got together was unconventional. We were friends with benefits, and gradually grew closer as time passed. In the beginning, it was not meant to turn into a relationship because he was heartbroken over his past relationship, which had been disastrous. We were in the same friendship group, which was how it started. Long story short, he agreed to be official with me after we realized just how much we were in love. I thought that it was smooth sailing from then on, and it was. For about 2 years, he was perfect and romantic. We became part of each other's life, but I started to have a feeling that something was up with him. He started avoiding seeing me, saying that work was hectic and he could not manage. For a few months, it was like I would be in a one-sided relationship, but things got better when he got a promotion at work. He was back to being his old self and was much happier than he had ever been. We went to one of his work events where I finally got to meet his boss, who was actually nice and not the molester that Todd described. His wife was also there and spoke about how Todd added value to the company. I started feeling sick though, thinking that it was something I ate. I decided to go home. I had the keys to Todd's place since I had once left something there and he loaned them to me. That will come into play later on. So then I told him goodnight and decided to go to my place. I was feeling bad about being absent from the rest of the event, so I went to visit him early in the morning, passing by the cafe to get him his favorite coffee. When I got there though, the receptionist downstairs told me that he did not want anyone to come in, which was super ridiculous because I'd always been allowed to come up to his place. We argued for a while, but she would still not let me in. That was when a man that I recognized a bit, but the memory was hazy, came through the elevator. I demanded that she call Todd so I could figure out why he didn't want to see anyone. He came down right then, and seemed very surprised to see me. I asked him why I was not being let up to his apartment, and he said it was a mistake. He forgot to clarify to her that I could come up. Once we were in his apartment, he was a bit shiftier than usual. That was when I saw the red tie on the sofa. Wow, you must have been very tired last night. You left your tie here. But wait, yours was black, I mused. He explained that he was going to wear that tie to a work function, but I wondered why since it was a bit hideous. But I shut my mouth. All this time I had not been seeing the red flags that he was cheating on me. It came in the worst possible way. When I visited him at work to surprise him with the tickets I had gotten us to see his favorite band in, he had told me that he was working late and not even his boss was there. So I did not think it would be that much of a big deal if I popped in. I opened his office only to find my boyfriend on his knees in front of another man, a man who I recognized as his boss, and the man I saw coming out of the elevator the other day. I was speechless. I did not even have the strength to utter a word. The man opened his eyes and saw me and pushed Todd away from him. Todd turned around and saw me standing there. He started saying that it didn't mean anything, and he really loved me. I told him to save his words. He was clearly busy, sleeping his way to the top to care about me. His boss tried to say something, but I was so angry that I launched myself at him, punching him straight in the jaw. I did not even wait for him to recover. I took the water that was on Todd's desk, and I poured it on my boyfriend. Then I turned to leave. I was super mad and I did not even know what to do. I was deeply hurt because I'd always promised me that he would always be truthful to me. I stood by him when his ex cheated on him and gave him comfort, but it seemed like he was also a cheater. They deserved each other. And not only did he cheat, he slept with his boss, a married man, whose wife was going to suffer greatly when she found out about this. And maybe she needed someone to tell her. One of the things about me is that I did not let stuff slide. I got into trouble as a teen because of that. But I had been trying to control it as an adult, but it seemed that my ex-boyfriend was really trying my patience. First of all, I went home and I destroyed everything that reminded me of him. There were so many things that belonged to him at my place. I cut his clothes, burnt our pictures, and completely wrecked all the memories of us. But it was not enough. I needed to get him back for lying to me. For how long? The next day, I went to his apartment, and surprisingly, I was let in. It seemed the receptionist had not been notified of the recent developments. I had brought a box to put all my stuff in. I went in around his place, taking everything that was mine. It was only when I got to his bedroom, I really started searching, that I found a lot more that I was looking for. Get this, I was not the only person that he was cheating on me, because under his bed was a box of the strangest stuff, toys, pictures, and even jewelry, and my jaw dropped when I saw what he was up to. There were pictures of him and his boss in compromising positions. I'm talking about full-on BDSM stuff. A side of him that he had not shown to me. There were what appeared to be expensive gifts and receipts from resorts out of town. This had been going on for more than a year. He had always been a passionate man, but he told me that he was on antidepressants, so we had not been intimate for a long time. He always told me that I was enough, but I guess I was not. It was not just an affair. It looked like they were in love. I started seeing red by that point, and I knew that I had to get him back for double the betrayal. Who knew how many lovers he had during our relationship? First off, I packed one of each of his best shoes. He was going to have fun mixing and matching. And since I was petty, I spent a couple of hours inconveniencing him. I did the classic taking off the labels from the cans since he liked keeping me in the dark. Then I was going to do the same for him. I emptied out his beer and put water. An annoying thing to find out, and then I saw his computer. I did not know the password, but I was certain if I put my mind to it, I would crack it. It was my name. Would you fancy that? I checked his deleted emails, and that was where I had struck gold. This sneaky one had been emailing his boss, and the texts were spicy, promising to meet for a quickie in the office. His boss bitching about his wife. From what I could tell, it had been going for over a year. They talked about kinky stuff and confessed their love to each other. But Todd was now asking his boss to leave his wife. However, he could not because his wife owned the company, and he had nothing. And the plot thickens. As I read the emails, I became engrossed. This was the spiciest thing I had come across, and it hurt to think that it had been happening behind my back. I decided to drop my previous plan of trashing his place. I took the pictures that he had of him and his boss and packed them in the box. I had then returned the shoes because I was not about to be weighed down by them. I forwarded all the message to anyone who ever had his company email, be it superiors, juniors, or interns. Everything was laid before for them to see. And then I felt his place. His company was pretty well known, so it would not take long for those messages to spread, and maybe even be involved in the media. Then I took the box of evidence that I had and set it to be delivered to his boss's wife. Her address was not even difficult to find. I made sure that it would only be delivered to her. I also enclosed a note that said, "I would want to know. You can do whatever you want with those pictures." I had no idea if she was going to divorce him or get revenge, but that was not going to be my problem. The next day, everything blew up. It seemed that an anonymous source had leaked those messages between Todd and his boss to the news, and since the man was very influential, it was a big deal. What he had done to me was the ultimate betrayal, when he knew that I did not appreciate being lied to or cheated on. My past relationships had turned out in that way, and I really believed that we were endgame. But I suppose I had been wrong about him. No one could get a statement from his wife for a few days. I felt for her. She had been a nice person when I met her, but I did not have control over what people sent to the media. All I had done was expose the two rotten cheaters. To think that I had discussed the possibility of marriage and adopting kids with Todd, but he had thrown us away as if we meant nothing. Even after getting revenge, I was hurting, still reeling from the betrayal and hoping that it was all a lie. He had promised to love only me, but that had not been the absolute truth, was it? He sent me several messages asking to see me, but I was too upset to even stand to be in the same room. I feared that if I saw him, I would do stuff that I was going to regret. I had no doubt he knew I had a part in exposing him. I wondered if he was going to make me think I was being insecure once again. He was adamant, yet again he showed up at my place without announcing. I expected him to be sorry, but all he did was make excuses and try to explain his infidelity. I asked him a simple question, like, "If you love me so much, why did you betray me?" And he said, "I really love you, but I also love him." Never mind that he had a wife and kids. The poor woman had probably been lied to for her whole life. I understood that it was difficult to come out, but everyone deserved to be with someone who loved them. I told him that he loved the promotion that came with sleeping with the boss. In fact, he loved to use people until he was done with them. He had used me to heal him, motivate him to quit his bad habits, and once he was okay, he did not have the decency to let me know that he did not need me anymore. It soon turned into a screaming match, and I saw something in him that I had never seen before. He said some hurtful things like how I thought I was better than everyone else, and that I did not understand him. What I wanted to know was if he had ever come to me with something and I ignored him. He did not have a response to that. He called me petty for sending the emails, and said it was my fault that he had been suspended while an investigation was done. He still somehow thought that he could get away with it, because emails could be faked. But then I kindly told him that his boss's wife had all the adventurous pictures that they took together. I should have known something was up when our intimacy ceased, so then I asked him why he held on to me when I was not enough. And he responded that he did not want to see me with anyone else. He loved me, and that he did not want to lose me like that. That selfish bastard. He had been sucking my happiness from my life for years, and I had not even noticed. I had been blinded by the promise of love. This was proof that when it came to love, it was best to avoid seeing it through rose-colored lenses. I told him to get out of my house. I did not want to talk to him again, but he kept on saying that we could still be together, and in an open relationship. I fully respect those who choose to participate in poly relationships, but I have always been monogamous. It seemed that the more he stood in front of me, the more ridiculous he became. I could not believe that I had been in love with that man for years, without seeing his true colors. He would never be loyal to anyone but himself, and that was a fact. When he left, I was so angry and emotional that I threw a plate at the door after he closed it. I had been working so hard on my temper, but people like him kept testing me. I saw the concert tickets that I wanted to go and see with him, and nearly threw them away. But he was not even worth it, and they had been very expensive. What I did not expect was to get a message request from the boss's wife. She apologized for not contacting me sooner, but she thought to ask if I had been the one who sent the pictures to her. I said that I did because she deserved to know. She let me know that she was actually pregnant with her third child when the affair happened. She was nearly in her 40s, and it was a critical pregnancy, leading to her losing the child. I felt bad and apologized for stressing her by sending her the pics, while she was still grieving the child. But she said it was better for her to see them before the emails were published. We decided to meet up and talk about everything that had happened, and I suggested we go to the concert since I had no use for those tickets anymore. And it turned out that it was her fave band too. We went to a restaurant after that and talked. We compared stories, and what she told me made my heartbreak seem like nothing. She had given up her family to be with that man and given him the money to buy a stake in the company, leading to him becoming the boss and the majority shareholder. So he was going around acting like he owned the whole place when it was not even his. She was the one who was supposed to be handling the company. Once she divorced him, she would take all that was hers, and he would be left with nothing. I also opened up to her about how I felt about being betrayed, and she was empathetic towards me. We grew really close throughout the divorce proceeding, when her a-hole of a husband tried to stop her from claiming what was rightfully hers. And my ex, after he got fired for indecent acts at work and breaking the rules that employees could not be involved with their bosses, it was difficult for him to stay in town, so he moved away, and I have not heard from him ever since then. The wife ended up winning the case and getting full custody of her kids, which was the best revenge for the man. I hated him almost as much as I hated my ex. He had been treating his wife badly when everything that he owned was actually hers. That was on a whole other level of betrayal. After Todd, it took a long time for me to trust again. But I do not regret anything that I did to him, after all. Everything that happens in the dark must eventually come to light. And the fact that there was a woman who had just gotten a miscarriage involved, I will die on that hill, that getting revenge was the best way for me to heal. I try to take the high road, but nowadays people can really test you. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.